If I told you it was 60 degrees yesterday, would you believe me? Probably not, but this is Maryland weather for you. But since it snowed, this actually gives me a great opportunity to answer a question I've had for a while. Question ever since I bought the Mustang, and well, the question simply is, how well does the Mustang do when the roads are crap? So in this video, we're gonna test that out. We're gonna see how well the Mustang does on snowy roads. So yeah, I'm really not sure how well this is gonna do at all in these kind of conditions. Perhaps maybe not so bad now, but not long ago, these roads were completely covered. Now in the SHO, I had no worries. That car could never get stuck in snow. And I don't feel so confident about this one at all. Not to mention, it still has the factory Pirelli P0 summer tires on here, so ain't doing me any favors there at all. But I guess before we can go for a drive, the first thing we need to do is clear off all this snow. Here, let's do some editing magic and get this snow cleared off, shall we? Oh yeah, that's a whole lot better. All right. First snow in the Mustang. This Mustang. Well, we're about to take our maiden voyage here. I'm not sure what to expect. I mean, I think the car should be relatively easy to control as long as you don't give it too much throttle. That's kind of a, given there, right? This car, however, is very iffy when the back end does start to come out. It's not very controllable compared to previous cars I've had, i.e. the Cobra and other stuff. When the back end starts to come out, you kind of have to be ready for it, and it's not as easy to correct as other Mustangs I've driven. Unfortunately, that could be because of the IRS. But anyway, I have a throttle controller here which numbs the throttle in the setting I have it in. The car also has a built-in snow wet mode, so of course we just put that in snow wet mode, which numbs the throttle even more. It also reduces torque as well. So this should give me super easy throttle input. That would make it a lot easier here to manage. So we're gonna just try to drive the car normally and see how it responds. That's kind of the big thing here. So, and mind you, I never cleared out the snow the car is sitting in. So this is a good test to see how well it kind of can push through and manage, high levels of snow. So there we go. Well, the car's getting traction, it's not spinning. That's good. Yeah, hey, here we are, we're out on the road. And we're spinning already. Ever so light amount of throttle and it wants to spin. As far as I can tell by now, if you're being very careful, then these are easily manageable in these kind of conditions. Now, if the roads were completely covered in snow, I don't know how well it would do. But in these kind of conditions, actually it's not bad. It's manageable. Last snow season when I was out in the SHO, I was not afraid to go out in any amount of snow last year. I purposely went out in snow just to go and do burnouts in mall parking lots. And I would notice this generation S550 Mustangs out and about. And I'm like, wow, well, they're out and they're on the roads, so they're somehow managing it. So I always thought maybe these cars were actually pretty decent in rough weather, considering being rear-wheel drive and whatnot. But as long as you're taking it easy, it's fine. Like, I could definitely get to where I want to go as long as I take my time. And that's important. This was one thing that really, really concerned me when buying this car. I mean, eventually I know I'm going to be relocating to a much, much more warmer climate that will never see snow unless there's an apocalypse and the world starts crumbling. But I knew I was probably going to have to deal with at least this one winter. So far, I'm already up the road, baby, and we're fine. It's fine. I mean, I've been very, very light on the throttle, taking my time. So far, so good. All right, I'm gonna make a turn here and see how well this car manages a turn in a bunch of slush. It did well. Wow. Okay. Honestly, that kind of surprises me. The front end didn't want to push. It didn't slide out. And I took that turn pretty quick, probably about 20 miles an hour. into slush the slush, and it did absolutely fine. This is a much better experience than I was honestly expecting. There's a slushy sharp turn, no spin, just goes right around the bend. Wow, guys, I know I can never be too confident, but this is surprisingly good. Honestly, this is probably the best experience I've had in a rear-wheel drive car in these kind of conditions. The only concern I have is when you're out on the roads with other drivers and maybe you need to make a certain driving maneuver, you need to pass someone or something, those, you probably just can't even think about driving like that because it just won't happen. Just regular driving here, it does it. Even with summer tires, it does it. Okay, let's take another turn here. And, okay. That time I got a lot of understeer. But, and the car is doing everything it can to keep the car from spinning. This road is actually really icy, and the traction control is constantly enabled, but it's allowing the car to keep the power down and to go straight. It's really doing a good job of keeping it straight. It's moving around a little bit back there, and that was in constant power accelerating. Yeah, this road is extremely icy. I mean, really icy. While the car is definitely more unstable, it's still controllable. With the proper inputs at the proper time, still very controllable. You feel the car is bouncing around and actually going sideways right now. It's kind of fun. It's not the same experience like I had in my SHO, and nothing will be. Nothing will be all drive in these kind of scenarios. Nonetheless, I'm very surprised how well it does. Little parking lot. Traction control turned off, it doesn't want to go straight. I turned it back on, and now it's doing a good job of keeping both wheels from spinning, and I'm not going as sideways as I was. But yeah, I mean, look at this. The car doesn't really want to spin too much. It's actually doing a really good job, as long as you don't give it too much throttle input. But let me show you, the moment you flip that throttle and you give it any bit of power. So let's do that. Actually, it won't let me. Traction control, I push the throttle down, it's like, no, you will not. Now this is going to be a very, very tough maneuver here. There is actually a good hill on this part of the road. We probably got about a 30-degree incline. So I'm gonna try to pick up a little speed. As long as the car lets me, because once we start approaching the hill, it's gonna want to start kicking out. My foot has stayed mainly in the same position, and the car is doing a great job controlling wheel spin and keeping the car straight as much as it can. It really is. The traction control is doing wonderful, quite honestly. Now, I can't say, I mean, the back end still is kicking out to the right, but it is controllable. Yeah, traction control is doing wonderful at keeping this car from spinning. Wonderful. I'm really shocked, quite honestly. Okay, so now I'm stopped in a bunch of snow. Let's see how well the car does at managing itself out of sliding, slipping. Traction control kicked in. It's doing everything it can. Okay, but it's got to do a little bit more, because otherwise I'm not moving. I think traction control sometimes overcorrects itself, but now we're moving. That was out of probably about 4 inches of actual solid snow, and it still managed to get itself out of it. Quite surprised about that. Now let's see how well I can pull back into the driveway, which is, of course, all snow. Take this easy, because we know the car will understeer. And we're stuck. That took a lot of effort. Well, I did it. At least I know for the most part the car's gonna be safe-ish in these kind of conditions. So eventually I won't have to worry about the snow anymore. But let me tell you, the new S550, and this is a 2020, this generation Mustang is surprisingly good in the snow. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Share with everyone you know if you want to see more content like this, and you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Keep a lookout for the next true car enthusiast video.